Okay, hello everyone. Our team has finished a project about Hoa Phat Group Choice Stock Company or HPG equity reports and financial analysis, and we're gonna share it with you now. So we have firstly summarized and do the valuation for Hoa Phat stock based on our analysis. This valuation was done on the 4th of April, and we recommend a hold position of Hoa Phat stock until the price is 52.9 Vietnam dong, which is 8% upside from 49,000. So to do the valuation, we forecasted that Hoa Phat will have a 26% growth in total revenue thanks to contribution from steel industry, especially in hot rolled coil and galvanized steel sheets. Also, we assumed Hoa Phat's Yongbuk factory will operate at 100% capacity and the company maintain the consumption rate as the previous patterns. So here is our valuation method by using discounted cash flow, PE ratio, and EV to EBITDA. So now we will explain why we have this valuation. Firstly, let's begin with Hoa Phat business analysis. Generally, Hoa Phat Group Choice Stock Company was founded in 1992, operating in 8 main segments, but up to 85% of the total revenue structure is primarily contributed by steel industry, as we can see in Exhibit 1. Therefore, we chose this company with the steel industry as the only industry of Hoa Phat to analyze throughout this report. And the thing that makes Hoa Phat so special is its manufacturing process. So let me give you a brief on how steel are produced. Many steel manufacturers in Vietnam imported steel scrap and put them through the electric arc furnace or EAF to become finished steel. Meanwhile, Hoa Phat is one of the few local companies that have a value chain from iron ore to finished steel, which is the company produce steel from iron ore, which is also known as production from upstream. So the production process from upstream can be simply understood through 4 steps, while iron ore is transferred to steel pellets and then liquid cast iron, and they put this through the basic oxygen furnace, BOF, to become finished steel. And this special steel producing process creates a huge competitive advantage for Hoa Phat because the BOF can save more electricity and reduce the cost of production, as we can see in the Exhibit 3. Therefore, with the advantage of monitoring the whole manufacturing process from iron ore to the final steel products, Hoa Phat can have a larger profit thanks to the control of cost and revenue. By this, we also know the cost of production of Hoa Phat depend on the price of iron ore and coke, while other steel manufacturers in Vietnam depend on scrap steel's price, which significantly impacted our analysis. So next, let's do the industry analysis. Steel consumption demand increased rapidly as the recovery of the global economy after the COVID-19 pandemic in the scenario in which many steel factories have not yet operated, thus significantly raised the steel prices. Steel bar and hot rolled coil prices increased over 50% in comparison with 2020, as we can see in Exhibit 5. Also, materials input prices sharply rose in the same direction as outputs. The main inputs of BOF, iron ore, and coke prices increased 97% and 23% year over year, respectively, while steel scrap, the input of EAF, have the same price increase pattern as steel price. So as we can see in the Exhibit 7 here, we can see that this creates a huge benefit for a steel producer with BOF technology at Hoa Phat in comparison with many other EAF manufacturers in Vietnam, thanks to the difference in cost of materials. So besides the COVID-19 pandemic, created a severely competitive market, which forced many small and medium enterprises to minimize their market share, creating an oligopoly steel market, as we can see in the Appendix 6. So, among these top manufacturers, Hoa Phat has dominated in many segments and recorded the fastest market share growth, thanks to profit margin competitive advantage and excellent logistics system from Yumwu factory. Therefore, we can see the future prospect of Vietnam steel manufacturers. So they have many opportunities in global markets thanks to the cost of production are half below China and European countries' steel producers. Moreover, steel prices are forecasted to be rocketed as a result of construction market recovery after the COVID-19 pandemic and public investment stimulus, as we can see in the Exhibit 9. The real estate market in Vietnam is predicted to have rapid growth, and together with new updates in Vietnam construction and investment laws can reduce time in constructing buildings. Therefore, consumption of constructing materials is likely to increase. So finally, we can say that Hoa Phat has been dominated in many segments of steel industry, and Hoa Phat's rapid expansion of coil products, the main material to produce galvanized steel sheets, helped Hoa Phat become more competitive in manufacturing galvanized steel sheets and claim some market share from Hoa Sen and Nam Kim, leading to a successful year in 2020. Therefore, based on our industry and business analysis, we have chosen Vietnam Steel, TVN, Hoa Sen, HSG, Nam Kim, NKG, and Pamina Steel, POM, to compare with Hoa Phat as the main competitors of this company. Now let's go to the financial analysis.
So Aman and I will introduce to you guys about the financial analysis of Hoa Phat Group. So start with the first one, balance sheet analysis. So with the asset structure overview, we can clearly see that overall Hoa Phat Group total assets show a positive side with a compounded annual growth rate of around 30%, which will reach about nearly 1,301 and 511 billion Vietnam dong at the end of 2020, and non-current assets decreased by the last year, and current assets increased by nearly 44.3%, leading to a nearly balanced percentage between current and long-term assets, which had been shown in the Exhibit 12. And the main reason were the increase in cash and cash equivalent, as well as short-term financial investment, while a huge and reduction in long-term work in process outweigh the rise of fixed assets. And with the current asset change, have to say that in comparison with 2019, cash and cash equivalent has significant growth and took up approximately 6% more in the amount of total assets. So account receivable also increased. So we can infer that this group is operating well and gain more profit than the previous year. So with short-term financial investment also grows and make up nearly 5% more in the total asset structure, which you can see clearly in the Appendix 12. So move to the non-current asset change. So with fixed assets increase in comparison with 2019 and took up for around 20% more in total assets. So this proves that Hoa Phat Group focus on investing their money in plant property, especially in the equipment, especially in Yumwu factory to enhance their hot rolled coal product. So, however, long-term work in process significant drop, reduced more than 30% in the total asset structure, which was proven that Hoa Phat has finished many of their construction and repair for the new future plant. So, with the capital resource change. So in general, capital resource share the same compounded annual growth rate with total assets around 30%, with the liability increase faster than the owner equity. So an amount to 55% in the capital resource structure in 2020, and showing that Hoa Phat is borrowing more money, more debt to grow their business, which will be sold in the exhibit 13, and the highest amount in liabilities increase was created by the short-term borrowings, which top up for approximately 12% more in the capital resource amount, which you can see in the appendix 13. So meanwhile, owners' equity gradually increased with a compounded annual growth rate of 21%, as can see in the exhibit 14. So with the competitor comparison, so it can be easily seen that Hoa Phat has always been the largest steel manufacturer in Vietnam market. So with the largest market capitalization around over 160,000 billion Vietnam dong in steel industry, it is obvious that Hoa Phat total assets was always bigger than the competitors, even than the total amount of on competitors, which can be clearly seen at the exhibit 15. So besides the total assets growth rate of Hoa Phat Group was also the fastest one.
Okay, so hello everyone. So I will in charge in income statement. I'm in charge in analyze income statement. So first, let's analyze the revenue. So Hoa Phat total revenues like indicates positive outlook for the company with the compound annual growth rate of 27% and reach over 91,279 billion Vietnam dong at the end of 2020. And the sales revenue was primarily contributed by steel segment, which is up to 85% of total revenue. So the revenue growth rate is approximately the same as the growth rate of total assets and equities, which can result in the rapid growth of return on assets and returns on equities. So next, let's move to the cost of goods sold. Before we go on that, I will talk about the steel making process compared to the Hoa Phat competitives. They using the buying scrap with high cost to make steel, while in Hoa Phat they buying iron ore from Brazil and Australia to make a blast furnace, and then they add oxygen to, and they can make steel, which is cost lower than the other companies. So that was the opportunity for Hoa Phat Group to gain more profits, and showing that Hoa Phat was doing well in operating thanks to its competitive advantage. So the reasons on 2019 there was drop in iron and ore because of the incident in Brazil and Australia. Also on profit change like selling expense and general administrative expense and other expense reduced in the amount in total revenue structure, which was a positive sign for Hoa Phat. Therefore, the increase in sales and decrease in expense led to the significant rise in the net income of Hoa Phat. Hoa Phat proved that they had tackled the 2019 incidents well and had the outstanding rebound. Hoa Phat operations stood out in 2020 during the COVID-19 pandemic, and the company increased their revenue and lowered the cost to become more profitable, forecasting an excellent future for the company. So on earning per share change, the increase in net profits contributes significantly to the growth of earning per share, which rose by 50% in comparison with 2019, because the earning per share was not minus 32%. The this recovery had a huge impact on Hoa Phat's stock price and the valuation of this business.
So now take a look to the ratio analysis. Firstly, I want to say that the liquidity ratio change about the fund liquidity ratio are like more prominent than other business in the industry. And after the largest mining group in the world in the Brazil meet the same values in the 2019, it make the price of steel art increase and directly affecting the industry still and have fact were no exception and this make like the shape reductions the interest coverage ratio but it's take a stable in the 2020 um, life look at to the quick ratio it's have a slight drop in the 2019 but is dramatically increase in 2020. It's meaning that the companies midlife was struggling to pay the debt, but in here is have some risk, but um, it may like borrow some like high expectations in the future with a strong development. Um, about the efficiency ratio change. Um, let's take a look in the inventories turnover ratio. It had a slight drop through the year from the 2018 to 2020. It has some problem um, with the dam in Brazil, but it still keep it seems like really ineffective and poor shell or carry outs of the company, but I think like it's really good because it still keep like the potential to of still assumptions and um it keep like the cash for the company and with the high payable turnover ratio is meaning like high fat now is operating mainly on cash is some risk but it's in here like high fat is hope is have strong space in the future and like all the repulse you can see that from the decline in the 2019 and in the 2020 is repelled quite significantly uh, in the long term solvency ratio change about debt to equity ratio is like lower than one in the 2 year first 2 year but in the 2020 is take a higher than one which mean like have had is was really dependence on lost capital and is the main risk of the business like are accumulates for the bank to bear and also like with the high ratio values also show that the company is like stronger financially and enjoy a greater long-term positions of services than company with the lower ratios. So take a look with the profitability ratio change. So with the high income, so it's make like higher. Um, uh, so now take a look with the profitability ratio change. Have had with the high income, so it make like return on equity or return on access. Has you like the capital effectively and it can be like and it's like show that how effective the company is in converting money to invest into a net income as a result like we believe that the company invests more money than earning. So to get a conclusion of financial analysis with all the step of development of the Hoa Phat, it seems like Hoa Phat now is the dominance on the steel industry with the incredible plans and with the incredible number in the financing, like all the figure of the Hoa Phat now is like the with the higher expectations for in the future. And like to conclude, that Hoa Phat is the leading steel manufacturer in Vietnam, and this company will be the most appealing business to invest among Vietnam steel industry in 2021.